Hi guys, welcome back to Thela Fashion. On today's video we're making a pleated skirt, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure and cut out the waistband first before we go ahead to cut out the pleats. So what I'm doing here is I am going to take the waist circumference, and my waist circumference is 25 inches, and I'm just going to add 3 inches to that for my seam allowance. And the width I'm taking is 4 inches, that is plus the seam allowance. So by the time we're done sewing this, it would have reduced. Now I'm just cutting it out. So I didn't cut the width and the length on fold, I just cut it in one piece. So by the time we fold it, it's going to look like this. And now I want to make this a little bit thicker, and I'm going to be interlining it with gum stay. So I'm just going to go ahead to place the shiny part of the gum stay against the fabric, and I'll just cut out the same size as the waistband. And I'm just going to go ahead to use my hot iron to press it down and make sure it sticks. So now that we're done with the waistband, we can go ahead to cut out the fabric for the pleats. And I'm going to start with measuring out the length before I show you guys how I calculate for the width. So for the length, first thing I'm going to do is measure out my bottom seam allowance, and I'm taking 1 inch. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my length from that 1 inch seam allowance that we've drawn out from the line. And if your length is 18 inches, for example, you want to take out 1 inch, so you'd measure out 17 inches for that from that line. And that is because that 1 inch we're taking out would serve as the waistband that will be attaching later on. So you're going to take your length from the seam allowance, the bottom seam allowance, but you'll be subtracting 1 inch from your length. So the measurement for the width of the fabric is your waist measurement multiplied by 3. Then you're going to add 3 inches seam allowance. So for example, if your waist measurement is 25 inches, you're going to multiply by 3, which will give you 75 inches. But you also need to add 3 inches seam allowance, which will make a total of 78 inches. And that will be the width of the fabric that you need. So now we can go ahead to create the pleats, and I've used pins on one end of the fabric to secure just that end down. And I'm going to be showing you guys how I make pleats with 2 methods, and I'm starting with the fork method. So how this is going to work is that I'm going to make sure the front of the fork is facing me. Then I'm going to put the last tooth at the left under the fabric, while the remaining 3 are on top of the fabric. Then I'm going to turn this over till the fork faces the front part again. While I'm doing that, I'll just use my left hand to balance the bottom half of the fabric, and then I'm going to use pins to secure the pleat that I just made. And I'm just going to repeat this process throughout the fabric, but then I'm going to be showing you guys another method that I use, so stick around so you could see the other method. So the next method I'm going to be showing you is the measuring tape method, and how it works is that I'm going to place the 1 inch mark of the measuring tape at the point where the last pleat stopped, and then I'm going to just fold the fabric on top of the measuring tape, making another 1 inch pleat. And then I'm just going to secure the fabric at both ends, or secure the pleat at both ends. So I went ahead to loosen the pleats at the edges, and you remember earlier we measured 3 inches seam allowance, which would be 1.5 at each end. Then I'm going to go ahead to iron my pleats flat. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out 5 inches from the top across the pleats, and this is the point where we're going to be sewing or top stitching to. So now we can go ahead with sewing, and first thing I'm doing is stitching down the pleats from the top till that 5-inch mark that we made earlier. Alright guys, so this is what I have after sewing, and there's a visible difference between how the front looks and how the back looks. So make sure to not end up stitching the front as the back or the back as the front. Now I'm going to go ahead to take off the pins at the bottom so I can hem in the bottom, and I'll be doing that with the 1-inch seam allowance that we took earlier. Now we can attach the waistband to the pleats, and what I'm doing is I'm going to turn this over to the back, and I'm going to sew the waistband onto the back first and then turn it over so I can top stitch on the front, and you're going to see how that's going to play out. So this is what I have now. I went ahead to iron it one more time to make it flat and nice. Now I'm just going to fold this into two so I can attach the zip. Now I'm going to take my waist measurement and divide it by 2. Whatever I get, I'll just place it at the waistband there so I can mark out the extra which I'll use for the zip. So I want to attach the zip in a slant manner because the way the body is built, it gets wider from the waist, and the slant manner which I'll attach the zip will just accommodate for that. And at the bottom I'm just going to take 0.5 inch, and I'm also going to make sure that I make the zip as long as possible, so you don't want anything shorter than 8 inches. So we're done with this tutorial, and this is what the skirt looks like now. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, leave a comment down below, turn on your post notifications so you get notified each time I post. And if you ever recreate this sewing project, please make sure to tag me on my Instagram, which is linked in the bio. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video.